Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely dismantle some incredibly harmful internet myths about sexual performance, and we're going to replace them with the actual clinical realities of a healthy sex life. Look, we live in an era where our feeds are just flooded with exaggerated claims, toxic advice, and heavily edited portrayals of intimacy. It leaves so many people feeling inadequate and stressed out, and frankly, it's completely understandable to feel overwhelmed by it all. But today, we're cutting through all that noise. We're looking strictly at the science, the biology, and the clinical evidence. So let's just address the massive elephant in the room right off the bat. A huge portion of modern performance anxiety is driven by one simple thing: FOMO, the fear of missing out. People are constantly comparing their private lives to these totally fabricated extremes they see online. And you know what? The supplement industry absolutely loves this. They capitalize heavily on that fear, pushing this narrative that if you aren't performing for hours on end, you're somehow broken or you're missing out on the true experience. But is that actually true?
All right, Section 1, Sex Myths and FOMO.
To really get this, we've got to look at how the modern alpha male internet narrative creates a completely toxic illusion. We are constantly fed these wild expectations set by adult films, performances lasting well over an hour. But what they definitely don't tell you is that those actors often rely on severe medical interventions. We're talking about injecting drugs directly into the organ just to artificially sustain an erection for that long. It is a highly medicated, completely synthetic environment. The actual clinical reality? A normal, healthy session of penetrative sex averages between 15 to 25 minutes. Actually, there's a highly specific, honestly pretty surprising number you should know: 40 to 50. When sexologists look at the clinical benchmark for a healthy penetrative session, where both partners achieve satisfaction, it frequently lands right around 40 to 50 continuous strokes. That's it. Good sex is absolutely not about endless hours of machine-like repetition. Our bodies aren't machines, and treating them like one, it just completely ignores basic human biology. Moving on to Section 2, the danger of quick fixes. When you chase those crazy timeframes, you're setting off a frankly terrifying biological chain reaction. People go out and buy delay sprays or extra time condoms, thinking they're somehow upgrading their performance. But what you're actually doing is just applying numbing agents, like lidocaine. And when you constantly numb a highly sensitive organ to delay your body's natural response, you are progressively damaging the delicate nerve endings. Eventually, you experience a complete loss of sensation. And paradoxically, that leads straight to vascular erectile dysfunction. The blood vessels literally can't do their job anymore. You've numbed the organ to the point where it just can't function naturally. Think about basic anatomy for a second here. The human hand, it's an incredibly strong tool. It's built with dense bones, tough ligaments, and muscle capable of deadlifting 100 kilograms. But the penis? Zero bone, zero structural muscle. It is essentially a delicate vascular sponge designed to fill with blood. When people engage in excessive forceful masturbation, usually trying to meet these insane internet expectations, they're applying the crushing grip of the hand to a delicate sponge. Over time, that literally ruptures veins. It causes permanent vascular damage, which leads to severe leakage of blood flow right when you actually need it. That brings us to Section 3, unpacking premature ejaculation. All that vascular damage, combined with intense psychological pressure and anxiety, it shows up in clinics all over the world as premature ejaculation. To really put this into perspective, get this deeply revealing clinical anecdote. A 45-year-old woman went into a clinic and revealed she had gone 23 years into her marriage without knowing what an orgasm actually felt like. 23 years. Why? Because of her partner's unaddressed premature ejaculation lasting only 5 to 10 seconds, combined with a total lack of communication in the bedroom. They suffered in silence for over 2 decades just because they didn't understand what was happening or how to fix it. Okay, Section 4, the reality of good sex. First up, we have to actually define what an orgasm is, strictly biologically speaking. It's not just some vague feeling, and it's definitely not exclusively triggered by penetration. Clinically, a female orgasm is defined by biological uterine contractions, involuntary muscle movements driven by a massive hormonal response. By defining an orgasm strictly through clinical biology, we can just completely strip away all the societal shame, the mystery, and the confusion surrounding it. It's a physiological response, no magic involved. And that brings us right into mechanics, where, honestly, our default assumptions are so often wrong. For example, the default missionary position is actually pretty flawed for female pleasure.
The male's weight can restrict movement, which makes it way harder to target specific nerve endings. On the flip side, positions where the female is in control, like the cowgirl position, are biologically superior for her stimulation. The vaginal canal is packed with high-density nerve endings, and allowing the female to control the depth and angle means she can directly target those nerves to achieve that exact biological response we just talked about.
Section 5, Natural Ways to Improve. So if quick fix pills, numbing sprays, and internet myths are the problem, well, the solution actually starts right in your kitchen. To achieve healthy, sustained blood flow without synthetic pills, you need nitric oxide. That's the gas in the body that dilates blood vessels. If you want to naturally enhance your blood flow, you should aim to make 50% of your meal consist of nitric oxide-rich raw foods. We're talking everyday, easy-to-find items here: beetroot, cucumber, tomatoes, and leafy greens like spinach and broccoli. Consuming these naturally preps your vascular system to perform at its absolute best. Beyond diet, you've got physical conditioning. But shocker, the internet gets this wrong too. Now, moderate pelvic floor exercises like yoga, cat and cow stretches, those are absolutely fantastic for flushing the pelvic region with fresh blood flow. But you have to be careful. Overdoing Kegel exercises just because some aggressive internet app told you to grind it out all day, that can actually cause internal damage, like urinary strictures, which is a really painful narrowing of the urethra. Balance and natural movement are key here, not overstraining. But, biology and diet totally aside, here is the ultimate clinical truth. True intimacy requires absolute mutual respect, and emotional sync, and open communication. You could eat all the beetroot in the world, but if you don't respect your partner, if you aren't communicating with them, and if you're just using them to live out some internet fantasy, your body and your mind will eventually reject the whole process. The foundation of a great physical connection is always a great emotional connection. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to ask yourself a question. Are you letting FOMO and highly edited, highly medicated internet content dictate your self-worth and your intimate life? Or are you focused on building a real, biologically sound, and deeply respectful connection with your partner? It's time to leave the performance anxiety at the door, drop the dangerous quick fixes, and embrace genuine, healthy intimacy. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this knowledge empowers you moving forward.